So I just went back to school on Wednesday, and it is my first year in high school, and I realized all these different types of teachers that I've never noticed before. And even though I've only had 3 days with these teachers, I can kind of tell who they are by the way that they act. So I'm going to describe all the different types of teachers. So number 1 is the cool kid who normally tries to get in with the popular students in his class, and he uses slang words. He has no idea what the definition is, wears his pants low, tries to talk like a kid. He doesn't use correct grammar, which honestly is a really bad reputation to have if you're a teacher, because your job is to educate children, not teach them the wrong type of grammar, which I think is really sad in 2 different. 2 is the Bipolar Educator, and I had a teacher like this last year, and it's basically when they don't like you, and so whenever you say something, they change their opinion to the opposite of it, and whenever you like something, they hate it. Whenever you hate these teachers. Now, you should learn from my mistakes, because I corrected every single grammar and spelling mistake that this teacher made in the first week of school. Yeah, that came around and bit me in the butt. And generally these teachers will call on you just to make you look stupid. Even if you know the answer, they'll change the answer so that it'll be like you got it wrong. Number 3 is the pet of 7th grade. All my friends had this one teacher, who I'm not going to name, but they had this teacher and they complained about him being creepy all the time and just weird, and like he smiled all creepy, which I know people smile weird all the time, but like he's a teacher and they were 12-year-old girls. And so later he got fired for doing some very inappropriate things on his computer, and I feel like this teacher doesn't go to that much of an extent, but there are some really creepy teachers. Like if you read Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver, you know what I'm talking about with her math teacher. It's just creepy. 4 is the double standarder. When you have this teacher, every single day it goes along the lines like, you can't drink in class. No drinking is allowed. No drinking, that's inappropriate. So this has never really happened to me, but I've had my friends tell me that they've been eating in class or even drinking water, and teachers tell them that they can't be doing that, and then 5 minutes later they're doing the exact same thing that they told the student not to do, which would frustrate me if that happened to me. 5, and the final teacher is the grudge holder. Now, I've had this teacher before, and it is either because you did one thing wrong once upon a time, or you have a sibling that was very troublesome. So when my brother was in 8th and 9th grade, he had this teacher, and she just didn't like him because he was very smart and he knew what he was doing. And she didn't like when people showed her up, and it wasn't like he was intentionally trying to embarrass her in front of her class by correcting her mistakes, but when I got to her class, she already hated me. It's really hard to ignore the fact that I'm his sister, because we look like the exact same person and people think we're twins all the time, and we have a very interesting last name that no one could ever forget, so kind of. So this resulted in me getting an F on my English final, and I'm in advanced English. I got awards for having the most AR test, and if you don't know what that is, it's like quizzing yourself after you read a book. And I've gotten awards for checking out a lot of books at school. My dad's a writer. I like to write. I read all the time. I have book posters all around my room. My dad helps me with my writing. He corrects my spelling mistakes if I ever make any. My parents help me with all this stuff, and I got an F on my final because she hated me that much. And I showed it to my parents, and they saw no reason for me to get an F on it, and they just accepted the fact that I was not going to get my grade changed, and they just didn't care anymore. Luckily this year I do not have that teacher, which I am very glad about, and I actually have a teacher who I love so much, and I had her for U.S. history, and now I have her for 2 periods in a row, which is very exciting for me because I don't have to deal with that stupid teacher anymore. So that was all the different types of teachers that I experienced on the first day of school, and if there are any other ones, tell me about them because I would like to know all the horrifying stories about teachers. And you should definitely follow me on Twitter at Factions Fandoms and subscribe.